Looking at number 1, I just want you to remember that all of the rules that we learned were exponent rules, so they only apply to the exponent. So you need to remember what you already know about applying squares and whatnot to normal numbers, because those are still the same. For example, you're going to say 5 squared, which is 25, and then this is a power to a power, so you're going to multiply your exponents. So your exponent rule is to multiply, but your normal number rule is to actually square the number. So this would be 25x to the 6th. So taking a look at number 2, we're just going to multiply straight through the top and through the bottom. So I've got x to the third times 2x to the third. And don't forget that there's an imaginary 1 here, so I'm saying 1 times 2, which is 2, and I'm saying x cubed times x cubed, and I'm going to add my exponents in that case. So I've got like bases of x, and I'm going to add my exponents. Now let's take a look at my bottom. I've got an imaginary 1 here, so I'm going to multiply 4 and 1. The bottom I have 4x squared. And looking at my numbers, I can reduce 2 over 4 to 1/2. And remember, if I have like bases and I am dividing, I'm going to subtract my exponents. So I have x to the 4th. And looking at my final answer, I can write that as x to the 4th. I don't have to write this 1 right here over 2. That's a really bad 2. There we go. Okay, looking at number 3, if I'm going to do PEMDAS, I can't do anything within my parentheses, but I do have an exponent. So what I have is negative 2 squared, and that means negative 2 times negative 2, and that gives me a positive 4. And now I have a power to a power, so I'm going to multiply, and that gives me 6 times 2 would give me 12 x's. And then here I've got negative 5 times 2, and that's going to give me negative 10 y's. And then I'm going to just rewrite the first equation of 10x to the negative 2 y cubed, and now I'm going to multiply these two numbers just from left to right. So I'm going to do the 10 times the 4, which gives me 40, y squared, or I'm sorry, x squared times x to the 12th. I am now going to add my exponents, and negative 2 plus 12 gives me a positive 10. And looking at my y's, I have y cubed times y to the negative 10, and that's going to give me a negative 7. I'm sorry, y to the negative 7. So looking at that, what can I not have, because my quiz specifically asks me to write the following in positive exponents. This y right here is not positive. It's got a negative. So we're going to put it to the bottom and turn it positive. So it just becomes 40 x to the 10th over y to the 7. Because you moved it, you made it positive. Alright, so taking a look at this one, we're going to do the cube first. So we're going to say 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8. And then I've got a power to a power, so that m to the implied 1 turns, we're going to multiply those, giving it a 3. And then we're going to multiply the p squared times 3, and that's going to give us 6. And there's also imaginary 1 on that q. So that's 3 times 1, giving us q to the 3rd on top. In the bottom, I'm just going to rewrite what I have. I've got 4 m to the negative 1 and q to the 6th. And let's see what I can do to reduce this even further. So I know I can put this on my calculator, 8 divided by 4, math enter, or I can also just know that 4 goes into 8 2 times, and 4 goes into 4 1 time, so I've dealt with that. And let's take a look at my m's. I know I still have this division bar here, so I need to divide them. And I have 3 minus 1. So that gives me 4, because I want you to see that I did keep flip change here. I said 3 minus -1. I'm going to keep flip change, giving me with actually 4 p's on top. So that would be p to the 4th. In my q's, I have 3 minus 6. 3 minus 6 gives me a -3, so I would have q to the -3 on top. So I'm just going to clean this up a little bit, and I can just simply leave the 2. I don't have to write this divided by 1, so I can just say my answer is 2. And this exponent is completely fine because it's positive 4, but this q is a negative, so that's going to go on the bottom as q cubed.